$2,700 is the approximate amount that Formula One teams spend on just the set of tires. With technology and innovations evolving every season, Formula One keeps on getting more expensive, which is why today we'll be taking a look at how much several F1 unique parts cost, ranking them from least to most expensive. So if you want to find out why an F1 car costs $20 million, then stick till the very end. Quick disclaimer, I'm just an F1 nerd and all the podcasts mentioned in this video are going to be held as estimates for two reasons. The main reason being that F1 teams want to keep a competitive advantage to competitors, as arguably F1 is the most competitive motorsport. And secondly, because there isn't any sort of Facebook marketplace that just casually lists F1 part offers that aren't replicas. Nonetheless, the list starts from the very basics of a car, and that is the tire. As stated at the start of this video, each set of F1 tires are estimated to cost about $2,700 for F1 teams. And since teams need to have 20 sets of tires for each single Grand Prix, that being 13 sets of dries, 4 sets of intermediates, and 3 sets of full wets, the cost of solely just having tires for one Grand Prix is estimated to be around $54,000. And to put the cherry on the cake, that is only to cover one driver, so the full cost is doubled to $108,000. First of all, it is no secret that Formula One cars are solely supplied by Pirelli tires, for reasons being to ensure safety and to not have any tire wars like the 2005 United States Grand Prix. The main reason why these tires cost approximately about $2.7K is because not only they're incredibly strong and are tubeless, as tubeless tires are less likely to get a puncture compared to a tube tire, but also because other factors such as materials, production, and logistics affect the cost too. Plus, Pirelli also does a whole lot of testing and simulations that ensure great quality of the tires, and they also give out technicians to F1 teams that constantly monitor the tires' performance. I know that it sounds like an ad, but I'm not sponsored by Pirelli. If you thought that $2.7K is a lot for an F1 car part, then you're about to be in a surprise, because next up is the front wing. The front wing is an incredibly important part of an F1 car that uses aerodynamics to heavily affect the car's handling, which is why losing one makes the car angry, and the car can now on maximum turn 0.85 degrees. And according to an F1 Chronicle article, front wings can cost between $150,000 and $200,000 depending on the complexity of design. There are several reasons why the front wing costs this much, and the first one is being that the material cost of the front wing production is carbon fiber. Front wings are made from carbon fiber because it is a durable material that can withstand heavy forces, and also because they are relatively lower in weight than steel. And mass in race cars is a very heavily important thing, as you want to put as less mass on your car as possible. And this can be explained by the holy good old, Newton formula, which is F equals ma, which proves that acceleration is inversely proportional to mass. I am a genius. I know A grade. And the second reason why front wings cost this much is because producing them requires so much patience and care and testing, and a lot of testing. And did I mention testing? Computational fluid dynamics testing costs a lot to do, because the process itself does many difficult mathematical equations. And to solve these equations, it requires expensive hardware that specializes in giving more cores and memory. And in order to even access a CFD software, you will need to chuck in at least several $1,000s on a license. And with materials, a whole lot of testing and careful assembly taken into account, it makes sense why Formula One front wings are estimated to cost at least $150K. So whenever you break a front wing in a racing game, just know that those parts combined were once worth more than a house in Texas. Finally, we're now at the third part of the list, and as we're talking about the car's chassis, the price range is now starting to heavily increase. And according to a Motorsport magazine article, which talked with Pat Simmons, which is the designer of the 2005 and 2006 championship winning Renault cars, the cost of a chassis is at least $700,000. The reason for this insane price once again comes down to two main things, which is gathering materials, manufacturing, assembly, and research. The chassis itself is made from a material called SFRP, which in full would mean carbon fiber reinforced polymer, which can be a quite expensive material just to acquire. The full process itself is quite complex and would require a separate video to explain in full detail, but to explain it simply, TFRP is made by putting carbon fiber cloth into a mold shaped like an F1 chassis, and after coating carbon fiber cloth with liquid polymer resin, the mold shape is put under extremely high temperature and pressure to create the lightweight and heat resistant F1 chassis. And since an F1 chassis is, quite long. Since it's literally the foundation that is responsible for protecting the driver during impact, it makes sense why the cost is so high. And that is just the materials and manufacturing covered. So it is no surprise that other important departments such as design, research, and assembly may cost it up to at least that 700k mark. So if you casually have at least 700k laying around, you can either buy a 140k Big Max in Solve World Hunger or buy a single F1 chassis. No pressure, but it's up to you. And at last, we have arrived at the F1 car part that is the most expensive of them all. And it is without a single doubt the hybrid power unit. And according to Pat Simmons, it is stated that such an engine hybrid system costs at least 15 million euros, which is around $17.5 million. Now, the reason why this costs so much is because the power unit isn't made from just a single V6 combustion engine, but other components go into it as well. That being the turbocharger, the MGU-K, which is a motor that charges up when a driver brakes, the MGU-H, which turns heat energy from the exhaust gases into electrical energy, and other electronics that make the car move around the track to hopefully get at least P10. That is unless you're Leclerc, then you just pray you'll even finish the race. And these were some of the most expensive F1 specific related car parts, ranked from least to most expensive. Obviously, other important parts such as the steering wheel, the gearbox, the halo, and the steering axles haven't been covered, but that is because they wanted to primarily focus on parts that don't seem to be incredibly complex in engineering, like the power unit or the transmission, but parts that to most may seem to be absurdly priced, like tires, the front wing, and the chassis of the car. However, that's why when all car components taken into account, a modern Formula 1 car costs around $20 million to make. But to run a full season of F1 for an F1 team, that's a totally different topic. However, once you have learned about how much an F1 car costs, do you know some of F1's most ridiculous rules? Well, you can find that out by clicking this video.